Good evening, my spooky viewers. I mentioned it on my last video. I have some really good stories from friends and family and close personal friends that I have never heard in my life. We've got stories of possession, of entities talking through people, so I'm ready to provide those to you tonight. My name is Scary Sylvi, and I like to share spooky stories. Okay, we're gonna get right into it. This is a possession story, but this story actually comes from a friend of the family, and she does have a couple of things going for her, so I'm more than happy to present that. I will be reading off of her card here. Her name is Hailey Sweat. She does two things, nail art, and she has a food service. Her food service is called Let's Eat, Healthy and Home Style Meal Prep. You can contact her at letseatmealprepservices@gmail.com, and you can search her by Let's Eat with the eat all caps through Facebook, or you can do at Let's Eat Meal Prep. Thank you again, Hailey, for sharing your stories. I can't wait to share them with everybody. Just so you know, Hailey Suite is located in North Texas. She is serving North Texas and Southern Oklahoma, and she has been doing this since 2021. I should have that information up here for you so you can see it. But okay, this is a story about possession, and I will now let Hailey tell her story. So let's hear what she has to say.
My family owned the Ceramic Art Center that's located next to the police department on Houston Street. And my grandparents always said, like, the very first day they bought the building, like, and got the keys to the building, it was empty. And they were sitting downstairs, and there was, like, an old broke down, like, car on the inside of the building. Like, so they were using it for storage. And they were just kind of, like, sitting there, just kind of in awe that they had got the sun. And they said when they got up to get out of the car and lock the building up, they heard footsteps upstairs. So that was like the first spooky thing, you know. And so that's not much, you know, you hear some steps or whatever. Well, fast forward years later, like lots of weird things have happened in this building. But one night, my mom had the flower shop in the front part of the building. So my mom had like a wedding or something. It was middle of the night. She needed someone to come up there to help keep her going. And it was summertime. Well, my cousins were down visiting. And my mom would call my aunt. She said, well, I've been drinking a little bit, but I'll come up there and hang out with you. And she asked if I was there, and she was going to bring the cousins. And so my mom was like, all right, be careful driving, blah, blah, blah. When my aunt walks in the front of the flower shop, my mom said, the spirits are active tonight. Like, just joking with her. And my aunt walked in drunk with her beer and said, I don't give a damn about none of those spirits. You know, like a drunk person would. Well, when she said that, you know, the easels that you put casket sprays on, 2 of them flew off the top where they are held. So my mom was just joking with her at first. So then when she said that, like 2 of those flew down at her. They didn't just like fall because the stack was unlevel. And so that like got her riled up. And she's already drinking, so she's just like ready for ghost war, you know. And she's drunkenly talking crap, and me and my cousins go in the next room and play like whatever we're doing, cards or something for a little bit. And again, the flower shop is connected to the Ceramic Art Center, but we were in the front, like in the shop part. Well, there's a Coke machine that my grandma had. You know, we get free sodas with the key. But the key was in the front room, and you had to run through the dark to turn the light on to get back to the Coke machine to see what you're doing. So we were all like seeing who's going to run through the dark space because it's scary. And finally we decided if we just go as a team, it might be less scary. I probably was like 11 or 12 years old, like enough to know something. We ran, turned the light on, survived, you know, and then we were messing with the Coke machine, and we couldn't get the key to work. My cousin went and got my auntie, and my aunt was coming out there all drunk and stuff, and she was just basically like cussing out loud, like to whatever spirits not be listening. And she got to the Coke machine, and she got it unlocked for us, and the door opened, and we were grabbing our sodas. We don't know like what transpired from like the door opening and us getting the soda out. It was like she started having a seizure, speaking in tongue, like where you can't understand what she's saying. My whole family has blue eyes. Like all of us have bright blue eyes. My aunt's eyes, it gives me goosebumps. My aunt's eyes turned gold. And then all of a sudden, she just fell to the floor. It's like she got a spirit inside of her, and then she just fell to the floor. So then we're like, sodas are flying, because we're like freaking out. Like, my cousin takes off screaming and running to get my mom. My cousin was just standing there like he saw a ghost. And I am trying to help her off the floor because I'm freaking out because she like collapsed on the ground, and it took her a minute to like come to, but she didn't remember anything from like talking crap to like hitting the floor. And then after that, it was just weird because it was total, like in the building, it was dreary and like cold. It was just like a weird, even though it was silent, it's a different non-sound. Does that make sense? But her looking like she was like seizing up and her eyes changing color is something that you don't make up in your head. Like, and I will never not be able to close my eyes and see it.
But she didn't remember any of that?
Nope. She didn't talk crap to them spirits no more.
Wow. I cannot imagine having that situation. It's honestly just, I don't really have a good word for it. I don't have a good word. She saw her seize up. She got yellow eyes, and then she heard her speaking something. She said it sounded like she was speaking some other language. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine seeing somebody having to go through that. I just thought it was so sweet that Hailey was the one that tried to pick up her aunt. I think everybody's reactions were completely valid. I could just see all these kids throwing their sodas up in the air and running or trying to help or just like stunned. Literally all three of the responses that you can have. Hailey was the fight, her cousin was the flight, running to go get another adult, and then her other cousin was the freeze of just, that would be me. It's also kind of crazy to me that she doesn't remember any of it. Her aunt doesn't remember any of that situation. She stated that her aunt remembered going to the Coke machine. She remembered unlocking it. She has no recollection of anything happening between the unlocking of the Coke machine and then falling on the floor. My mind, I could not process it fast enough as she was telling this story when I first heard it, but I thought it was an amazing story. It's the first story that I've actually had of somebody stating that they have actually had a genuine experience outside of themselves. So, but I digress. So I have a second recording of a friend that is talking about, I don't know if I would technically label this as a possession, but it was definitely being overtaken. So my friend's name is Proxyfox 19. You should see it come up here on the screen for you. And she's currently doing other things, but she is wanting to get back into music. She's got a couple of videos where she's playing the piano and she's really good at it. I support her 100%. I'd love it if you went and supported her. This is one of her scary stories, so I'm gonna let her tell it and then I will see you at the end.
My mom would tell me these stories when I'd moved to Texas. And honestly, yeah, I knew some of the things that happened in that house, but I didn't know that these things might have been speaking through me, because my mom said I would like grab her shirt and be like, Patty stabbed me in the back, and then run off. And I'm like, oh, I think murder happened in that house. 'Cause years later, I'm like, ooh, Mom, I don't want to know if these things were like, you know, talking through me. Like, I need an exorcism. But yeah, so I mean, the Arizona house, yeah, don't miss it.
I've always wondered if I've said things to my parents. I know I've heard quite a few stories of kids saying something about their parents getting into car accidents or something, or coming up and talking to a spirit. I don't actually think I ever said anything. Now, I do remember a specific story. I've never really actually, as far as I know, had a spirit talk through me. Nobody said anything to me about it, but I have actually seen some things. There was one night where I woke up and I thought I heard my mom laughing. And I was like, that's really weird. It's really, really late at night. I was a kid. I think I might have been between 12 and 13, and I heard that noise. Well, at some point, I got out of bed to go, and then I saw a light from behind me. I turned around, and my great aunt was hovering over my bed. She was dressed in a really pretty dress. It was kind of like, just the best word I can use is it was flowing. She just had this thing on that was just flowing. I was kind of confused. She said, tell your mom that I'm gonna be okay, and please let your family know that I love them. And I said, okay. and I came out into the hallway to the couch where my mom was sitting, and I said, "Mama?" And she said, "What is it, baby?" And I said, "Aunt Jay said that she's okay and that she loves everybody." And my mom broke into tears because the reason she was up was because she had just gotten a call saying that my Aunt Jay had just been unalived in a car accident. I remember that. I remember seeing it. My mother might remember it. I don't know. So this last story is going to be kind of on the same spectrum of this. I have a story from Hailey again. So Hailey goes on to explain that her grandmother's bird, I think it was a parrot, started saying some things, and I will let her tell that story and I'll see you at the end.
My poppy, which is my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was also known as like the bird lady because she raised birds and fed parrots and all types of stuff. Well, her double-headed yellow whatever, her name was Marie, and she was a talking son of a gun, like talk, have conversation. It was really cool. But she started like all of a sudden talking, like she was saying stuff that wasn't like my poppy wasn't teaching her. So it was like she was getting talked to, like whenever, you know, like when people weren't around and stuff, and that was something weird. Come here, Jimmy. My grandma was like, who the hell is Jimmy? And where did she learn this phrase? Because my poppy did like art lessons and paint, you know, so she heard all types of stuff, but it was like little phrases that she started saying. But the come here, Jimmy, because she'd be like, come here, Jimmy. It's so weird. I think weird is like the only word, because you can't say crazy, like it's just different.
Now, full disclosure, I know that birds can pick up literally anything, but I think what my friend was trying to say is that the bird specifically was talking when no one was talking to it. Now, some birds will use phrases in order to get people's attention, but Hailey stated that it would have conversations with people. It would talk to them. And I think that's kind of weird is a good word, that the bird would be saying certain things like it was carrying a conversation with somebody, but nobody would be in the room. Like I said, I can understand talking birds might hold conversations with themselves, or they might try to get our attention by saying certain things, but if it was intelligent enough to hold a conversation, then I don't think it was doing that just to do it. You know, it would say the phrases that it knows gets it attention, not random ones about somebody else that's not a part of the family. I don't know. I've never had a bird. I've never had a parrot. So I don't know for certain. If you've owned a parrot, let me know if you've noticed any crazy things, and if you have creepy stories of them saying phrases that you never taught them, please leave your story. I would be happy to see that. Okay guys, I hope those stories got you in the spooky mood for tonight. The possession one is definitely by far the wildest one I've ever heard in my life so far. But if you would like to know how to get your stories featured on this channel, as well as getting any promotions for a channel that you may be trying to get going, please stay tuned and I will let you know. Be sure to follow my TikTok. I'll leave that information here for sneak peek previews and short stories that I have. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have any scary stories. I'd like to start reading them on my videos in the future. And until next time, please stay safe and spooky. Bye! Hey guys, so I have executively decided that I'm going to actually share a story for the ending. Don't worry, the information will still be available in this dark space for you so that you can find out information on where you can submit your stories if you want to do a detailed recording. If you just want to submit a story, you can put that information in my comments and I will do this to where I read it off at the end for my next video. Today's ending video is from a friend. They did request that it be anonymous, so I'm going to read the story from a they-them perspective, and I'm not going to identify their partner either. Alright, when people wake up in the morning, generally they make some sort of sound that isn't really a yawn, but also isn't really a scream. The noise you make when you stretch and it feels really good. Well, I had just moved in with my partner and they would wake up very late, generally around 1 p.m., and I would know they were awake by that sound I just described. Obviously, I knew what their voice sounded like and what noise they make. The same noise as though a horse was huffing. I think it's kind of cute, but also easy to identify in this situation. So I heard rustling in our room one morning when I was near the hallway closet. This closet was directly across the hall from our bedroom door. Our bedroom door was shut, so I was opening the closet and looking for something. I don't remember what it was. All I know is that at first I got chills on the back of my neck, and it felt like my partner had come out of the room and was standing behind me. It was weird because I'd never heard the door open, and it normally made a squeaking noise. Whatever. I didn't really put much thought into it until I felt them standing behind me, and I heard that same horse huffing noise right next to my ear from behind me. I recoiled and laughed, thinking that my partner was messing around with me, trying to scare me. I said stop, still giggling, and as I turned around, there was no one there. Our bedroom door was still shut, and not a few seconds later, I heard my partner snoring in the room.